Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second episode of Generational Talent, the sports podcast brought to you by the father and son duo of Travis and Thomas Crowder. I'm Tommy, and my father is right over here.
Yeah, I'm the generational old guy, but I'm putting the hearing aids in right now so I can catch up.
He is doing that indeed. Now, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of news, give you some hot takes, and then, of course, talk about an all-time generational debate, as well as give you some betting odds that we would be interested in. So right off the top, last time we talked, the OKC Thunder were still in the finals against the lovely, why am I spacing?
Indiana.
Yes, Pacers. So obviously we know how that went. Yep. OKC ended up taking the finals victory, unfortunately after a hefty Halliburton injury that is probably going to cost that team greatly throughout the season next year.
Yeah, what a bummer too on like the last game. And he was a huge reason, even though that team still needs to, has a few little pieces there. He definitely was the glue. I mean, his last second buzzer beaters got him in there.
I think one of the most interesting facts I read about the last game was that even with his injury, he still had the most three-pointers in the final game 7.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Yeah.
Even with an injury taking him out at the very beginning, that man still had the most threes.
And, for the dating world out there, the betting world out there, we did.
Dating world too.
We did call it because we said that particular day, it was game 7. We said Oklahoma and cover, and they did. They did cover too. They won by, I think it was 7. They needed to win by, I think they won by like 10 or 11. They were the better team.
And that's a stacked team that is so young that I can't imagine they're not going to be in the finals, if not next season, at some point within the next 5.
Well, they got a lot of draft capital. They'll be good for a while.
Yeah. Then, of course, we had Florida taking on Edmonton in the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know it, a repeat victory for Florida there.
And Canada still waiting for a championship in their sport for, I don't know, since the 90s.
Yeah.
I think it was Edmonton that won it last time. I think Wayne Gretzky was still playing then too. Sorry, all you Canadians out there, you guys just can't win your sport.
No, not at all. I was going to bring on a fellow guest today to talk about this next bit of news, mainly because he is such a large Miami Dolphins fan.
And his dad.
Yes, but interesting news: Minkah Fitzpatrick traded away from the Steelers for Jalen Ramsey. Now,
traded away from the Dolphins.
Well,
you're talking about
going from the Steelers.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Now, when I asked resident Dolphins fan Nick Beaton what he thought of it all, his exact words were, "Good, go ahead, take him, have fun with him." So,
Oh, well, he can be a bit of a chemistry issue too. He's talented, but he's always been a chemistry problem.
Now, it brings up the question with this move. Obviously, Minkah Fitzpatrick, not a bad person to trade for.
No.
Jalen Ramsey, again, one of the top shutdown corners we've ever seen. Dolphins, though, they're in for a rough season, I think.
They could be. And I here's what I think on the other side, too. Not only do I think that will be the case, I think with Pittsburgh, they're all in for 1 year. I mean, you can tell they're making moves to win it this year. I don't think they're going to, of course. I don't think they made enough moves, but you can see with all these big moves they did, and then, of course, Rodgers, and, they picked up DK in the last year of his contract. So, because you know what Jalen Ramsey's on par to make this year?
No.
$26.6 million for his position. Yeah. So they're loading up. I think they'll have a team probably good enough to be in the playoffs, but you're not going to beat Buffalo and Kansas City and all those guys.
No.
Not going to happen.
That's a hard division to be good in, and there's a lot of different problems with the Dolphins. I love their head coach. I think McDaniel's awesome. But I think Tua's great, but I don't think Tua's got it in him to go all the way, or at least fully complete a season completely healthy. And now you're at a risk with him where the next one could be the last one. Weapons, obviously Tyreek Hill made it very clear at the end of last season that he did not want to be there.
He's another chemistry issue.
Mm-hmm. And then, you've got Waddle, who's good, very serviceable as WR2. But again, when your WR1, is going to be a problem and consistently is going to want out of your organization, I don't think you're going to get top play out of him. Mm-hmm. So, no, it'll be interesting. The Dolphins are...
And I think they're in a tough division. You're going to end up playing. You got to play Buffalo twice. I think the Jets are going to be better this year, significantly better. I think. I don't think they're going to be amazing, but I do think they're going to be the second best team in that division. I think they'll be ahead of Miami.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that at all.
I think Miami. And, speaking of generational talent, there's your guess at some point in time, get him and his pops, because we'd be in the exact same kind of, demographics. But, it's – I look at, like, the Dolphins are like this. Where the Seahawks made a lot of moves, there's a lot of potential, right? That's our team, of course. We talk Seahawks, but there's a lot of potential. But there's risk. Everybody's got to come back. They got to play the way they can. The youngsters have to pick up. I see that we brought back Griffin.
Did we?
Yeah, Yep.
For us.
Yep. Shaquille Griffin. We brought him back, and 2 1-year contract, so it gives us a third corner that's really deep. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see how things pan out. But yeah, I kind of felt for that one, and I didn't realize that. I couldn't find what the Steelers gave up, but Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, that's what I read this morning at least.
I think it's a chemistry move.
Other bit of news: the Toronto Raptors fired their was it their head coach or their GM? They're pretty much just cleaning house, much like they did with the Toronto Maple Leafs. New ownership team comes in, but that is an interesting thought because the Toronto Raptors recently won a finals. They're not a bad team at all, but yet this new ownership comes in and completely changes up the entire head office.
It's what you see in sports right now across the board, right? It's win now. I mean, you got the Knicks coach Thibodeau, who gets fired after taking the Knicks to almost the finals. A team that is good, but I don't think they underachieved. They overachieved to get as far as they did, and. Indiana's the one who beat them, of course, but barely. I mean,
yeah.
And you fired the head coach. I'm like, whoa. So I don't know. In today's world, I mean, it's a win now. There's pressure.
You know what? That's going to bring me a good topic for a hot take there. All right. Well, any other news you wanted to add there?
I got a few things. Now, number one, I want you to take. So here, check out these salaries. Now, mind you, I think salaries in sports, it's relative. I mean, these guys are going to get paid, to play, and owners are making gazillions. So it is what it is. But I just got to tell you, this kind of blows my mind. Don't look. We'll see if you saw this. Jabari Smith. Okay, plays for the Hawks. He's a young ball player. I think he's only about 22. They drafted him. This was his 3rd year in the league. Okay. Think about this. In 2022, he averaged 12.8 points. Now, mind you, he gets about 7 rebounds for every one of these, 7 to 8 rebounds every year too. So he's not horrible. But this Jabari Smith, right? He got 12.8 points a game in 2022, 13 points a game in 2023, and this year 12.2. Okay, and he got each along the way a 7 rebound, 8 rebound, 7 rebound type average. So pretty consistent. Dozen points, 7 boards. What do you think that's worth in NBA money? Because he just signed a 5-year contract. Jabari Smith, Atlanta Hawks, 12 points a game, 7 rebounds.
I mean, I've in NBA world, 20.
5 years, $120 million.
So 25 million.
25 million a year. Yeah.
Oh, I was only 5 mil off, yeah.
You're pretty close.
Which is insane to me.
for a dozen points and 7 boards.
Yeah, a guy that's just going to be a piece player. He's not going to be...
No, he's not going to be a go-to guy. So, and now to put that in perspective, James Harden, our favorite little whiner. Now, here's the thing with Harden. He puts up numbers, but I think we can all agree he's got that, and it follows him, that MO of, but you can't win anything. You never do well in the playoffs. You fold.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, in his last playoff game, you know how many points he scored in the last playoff game?
Oh, he sold. I know that. It was under 20, right?
Yeah, it was under 10.
Oh, jeez.
In his last playoff game, he scored 7.
That's the thing. When it comes to the offseason, you don't know which version of Harden you're going to get. I mean, the man is a regular season god. There's no doubt about that. He's been great for
his numbers. I'll give you his numbers because he just signed a contract. 2 years, $81 million.
Jeez,
so he's going to make $40 million. And now his stats on paper, they read good, right? 22.8 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 8.7 assists. So his numbers read good. But I look at it going, but you don't win, bro.
No.
You don't win.
And at the end of the day, I mean, it's great to make it to the postseason. If you can't finish the job, though, what's the point? Why are you paying all the money?
Now, that being said, don't get me wrong. Everybody knows on record out here that knows me. You're going to know it on the show, too. I am a LeBron fan, but I am not a LeBron fan outside of basketball. But on the court, he's great. He's not the best ever. But I will say this, at least the difference with him and Harden, listen to these numbers from the 40-year-old. This is a guy who's 40. 24 points a game, 8 rebounds a game, 8 assists a game.
Yeah.
Some of the best numbers you're going to get. And 40. He did that at 40 years of age. He just signed his extension 1 year, just a 1-year option with the Lakers.
Yeah.
52.6.
Yeah.
But I look at it going, now there's a difference to $10 million. Obviously, LeBron's older. LeBron wins.
I was going to say there's a difference in rings, too. The man can bring a championship.
He can. Mm-hmm. He's not quite Jordan level, of course, but he can definitely bring it. But, I mean, this guy's going to be playing his 41st year. But look what he did at 40. Mm-hmm. As much as, I'm not a LeBron fan as a person half the time. I will say, although good family man, I will say that. But his points on the court, Can't deny it, man. That's some solid numbers. Most anybody would want that year, and he had it at 40.
Yeah, no, I would say you can't argue that LeBron is in fact one of the greatest basketball players of all time. I think there's a strong argument to be made that he is the best. Obviously, when people do the comparison between Michael and LeBron, you've got Michael winning 6 rings, all of which with the same team, 2 three-peats, obviously with a small break in there. LeBron, plenty of rings, a lot of different teams. One of the biggest arguments you hear, though, is LeBron cannot make others around him better, whereas Michael could. Michael could, take a team with Pippen, Kerr, Rodman, all these people, all these characters, and elevate every single one of their plays. But, again, you could also make the argument for LeBron in terms of Kyrie and, the other gentleman he had with him, Love. Mm-hmm. So,
yep, Kevin Love.
It's definitely one of those situations. But then again, you look at his first year with the Heat, and it's like, what the heck happened there? So
I know. I know. I look at it this way. There are certain athletes that when it comes down to at the end of it, they make those around them better. That's what I kind of love. Those are my favorite kind of. Tom Brady did it. I mean, he won all those Super Bowls, and he had talent around him, but he didn't have like the generational talent that people are talking about. Not even.
Yeah, no, I agree.
He had some.
Any other bits of sports news, old man?
No, not. I mean, in terms of nationally, no. I got some things for your next segment though, and all that good stuff. So I think
some hot takes.
I do. I have a few hot takes. I wrote them down.
Okay, all right.
Came prepared.
Well, we will get back to you guys in segment 2. Hello and welcome back to Generational Talent. We are now in the hot takes segment of the show, and we're going to start off with an easy one, I would say. Dad, you're a big Mariners fan, yeah?
Yes, big time.
Now, would you say the Mariners are playoff bound this year?
Oh, if you would ask me that about 2 weeks ago, I would have said easily yes. And they're still they're in second place in their division. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to be optimistic because the one thing we do have is very good pitching, and we have the best hitting catcher in the game with a whole bunch of home runs, over 30.
What is his nickname? The Big Dumper? Is that what they're calling him?
Oh, I don't know. That? Cal Raleigh is his name. I'm not sure what his deal is. And Julio Rodriguez is getting hot. So I'm going to say yes. We're going to make, as a wild card team, I don't think we're going to win our division. That's going to be the Houston Astros.
His nickname is Big Dumper. Yes. Love that. Big fan of that.
All right. He's a stud, too, and he took a pay cut to stay with the Mariners. I like that.
Okay. All right. You have a hot take for me before we can bounce it back and forth?
Yeah, I want to ask you. I have a question for you. This one just, to me, do you feel Justin Tucker's suspension of 10 games was appropriate for what he did? And here's the recap, okay? Sexual assault. This is another one, much like our Cleveland Brown quarterback, Deshaun Watson. Yeah, where and of course he's claiming innocent. But check this out: he's claiming innocent, even though there's 16 different massage therapists. And how he got away with this so long ago blows my mind. Without this coming to light, 16 different massage therapists over the years of 2012 to 2016.
I would say this. Personally, I believe, obviously, if you're going to do something like that, you essentially have just given up on the fact that you're not going to be an NFL player anymore. Unfortunately, it doesn't end up panning out like that, and then you get a giant contract from the Browns. But, what can you say? Deshaun Watson's just built different.
And the Browns are just complete morons when it comes to that.
But a kicker, I mean, at the end of the day, you get something like that, that is the end of your career, because what team is going to sit there and be like, yeah, we'll hang on to a kicker who's suspended for 10 games. So to me, it was the politest way of firing that man from the NFL they could have gone about doing, which, whatever, that's great.
What gets me is his agent was livid that he got suspended for 10. I'm like, I can't even believe. Me personally, I'm looking at it going, that many counts. I mean, he's going to get a ton of lawsuits against him.
And I'm sure it'll all be settled out of court for some money.
Mm-hmm. But boy, I tell you, to think he is, for him to go on record about how this is all fake, like 16 different women made it up.
Yeah. No, it's, it just shows you that, again, your actions will come back to bite you. I mean, you cannot get away with it. And it's all, they were showing, I remember when this first came out, I was seeing a whole bunch of stuff where people were pointing out posts from like 2014, 2016, where these women were talking about how they don't allow him in their massage parlors anymore, all this stuff. And it's like, bro,
yeah, it was 8 different parlors. 8 different parlors that he did this with.
And a lot of that happened obviously before the whole Me Too movement and everything like that. And then even after all that came out, and obviously you see what happens to Deshaun Watson. Even Brandon McManus, another kicker, had some incidences thrown his way that got him kicked off. I think it was the Broncos at the time. Mm-hmm. And he just keeps doing it. like my man, you really just did not care, I guess.
Nope.
And it's like, I don't know what he expected. And I think the Ravens made the good move of moving off of him because, again, you don't want to hold up your season. What, you're going to draft another kicker and just utilize him until Tucker's back? And I suppose it'd be one thing if the dude came off a stellar season, but he came off a season, his worst ever, where he was missing kicks left and right. So it's like you weren't good enough in your last season to even want to hang on to you. And again, you're a position in the NFL where it does not make sense to hang on to you.
Correct. So, nope, I think we both agree on that one. I personally think he should have not been back in the league. That's just me, but I don't know.
Shohei Ohtani, obviously the Yankees are most likely going to be playoff bound and probably go further than that. But you got a dual threat here. The dude can hit. You honestly got a triple threat here. The dude can hit, the dude can steal, and the dude can pitch. Now the question becomes, if you're the Yankees owner, are you wanting this dude to pitch in the playoffs, or are you wanting to save him completely for hitting?
Oh, that's a great question.
I said Yankees. I'm an idiot.
No, yeah, I know you meant Dodgers.
Yep, my bad.
Boy, that's a good question. Here's what I would say. It's tough because he's dominant in both, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to. Do you want to? I mean, here's a guy who took the mound the other day. 99, 100, 101.
Yeah.
It's like unbelievable. I mean, we've all said this before. From a just sheer talent deal, to me, he's the greatest player in my history I've ever seen in my life. I mean, in terms of he's just to do everything, to do an all-star level on both sides of the ball is crazy to me.
Yeah.
So that all being said, I don't know that I would use him a lot during the regular season. I would save him for the hitting side of things. However, personally in the playoffs, I'd use him in the playoffs because I think you got a great pitcher whose arm would be very lively and not a dead arm that time of the year. And I think your pitching is enough to get you there anyways. But I would only use him very sparingly through the regular season. I would save him for the postseason.
Okay.
His throwing part.
I wanted to share with you real quick because you had watched me, I think it was Father's Day when you came over, you watched me play a little bit of Super Mega Baseball 4 on my PlayStation there.
Yes, I did.
I ended up winning the World Series with that team, was able to re-sign everybody except, I don't remember who it was. One of my players ended up retiring, but everybody else I was able to re-sign. I only had to up the salaries for Giambi and Bagwell, which whatever, I'll pay a little bit more to keep them. But, oh, man, just an all-time game. Having a great time with that one. And I played against the OGs, defeated. And I did draft. I put George Foster on my team. I ended up stealing him from a
George
different
Foster. The family knows him well.
But, yeah, no, Super Mega Baseball, folks. If you're not playing it, it is so fun. It's just all these OG players whose seasons have. I don't think there's any modern current-day players that are on those rosters. I think it's everybody who's. The latest you got is seasons that end in, like, late 2010s. Like my team again, it's Jeff Bagwell, Mike Piazza,
all guys that I followed.
Yeah, George Foster now, Tim Salmon's on there, Andrew Jones is on there. It's such a good game. Won the World Series though. Was very happy with that. I ended up upping the difficulty like crazy too, and was really stressed out. My daughter heard some language from me that she probably shouldn't have while I was playing that game, but I won, so it didn't matter.
Okay. Hey, I got one for you.
Okay.
Nike. Right. Okay. So here's the deal. We talked about Caitlin Clark a little bit, and then last episodes deal about the some of the biases and some of the crazy crap that's going on in the WNBA. Well, a writer for the New York Post kind of put an interesting spin on things. Tell me how this would go. Nike obviously loves her, right? Loves Caitlin Clark. They signed her to. So here's a funny thing. Do you know what her salary is for a rookie?
Oh, it's. Less than 10 mil, I'm assuming.
Try 76,000.
Oh my God.
And,
I'm looking at, actual NBA numbers. My bad.
It's more this year now because the league is making more money, but guess what? Nike's paying her alone.
Oh, it's gotta be, that one's gotta be closer to 10 mil.
$28 million from Nike alone, right? In other words, she's got a $40 million deal. So she's going to be fine regardless. But if Nike were to make, and this is the reporter from the Times, because here's the thing, right? I think we can all agree, and the New York Post, I'm sorry, not the Times, but we can all agree that she has a target on her back, right? Now, she's obviously the best player in the NBA or in the WNBA, and I think anybody knows that she's the limelight. And you got all the Angel Reese folks, and they want to make it a battle and all that. But here's the kicker: what if Nike were to? Okay, and I can't even imagine if there's talk of this. Start their own league, and it was Caitlin Clark that was the focal point of a new league. What would happen to the WNBA?
I think, that's a good question. That there's a hassle there because obviously Nike's got a brand, they've got money. It's not like they couldn't get something going. But when you have something established already like the WNBA, that is a hard thing to take an existing fan base and turn them. It's why things like the XFL have failed over and over, and USFL. Again, they're not horrible failures and they're not the worst things on the planet, but they're never going to get the viewership the NFL has because they're basically a spin-off.
The drama, I think, is what gets people to watch it now. The
Yeah.
drama you see unfold on the court. I do agree. Here's how I compare it. I do agree. I think it would be hard pressed to, especially if a whole bunch of the players didn't jump to, because if it only ended up being her, well, then here's what you got. I think you'd have what they do with professional golf when you have the Live Tour, where you got all these players and the Saudis are paying a big money for them to do these tournaments, and a lot of these players left to do it, but the PGA Tour is still the tour. So, so yes, all those players went over for money. They're making big money. But at the end of the day, when you don't have all the players and established, you got the PGA Tour with 100+ years of history, of course. And so there's, they play, but there's no market. Nobody watches it. Nobody watches anything. And they have the best golfers in the world over there.
I mean, if anything else, I would tell Mikey, maybe go ahead and buy a team somehow. Like that would probably be the better route to go than try to compete with an existing. And again, too, if you were to try to do this like a couple of years ago, before the huge boom of viewership that the WNBA saw, maybe a different story. But now you're trying to attack this thing when it's at its peak. I wouldn't think that this is the right time to try to make a move like that.
No, and I think you're right. Now, here's what else I would think too. I do think other stars are going to start to develop because there's going to be other storylines eventually, just because people are watching the games. But I think it's apparent when you're marking. But now it's an interesting thing. You're marking when Indiana's on the schedule. The home teams, the away teams are marking it, so they're obviously selling to big crowds. Yeah. So you've got the fan aspect, and then you got everybody else that just wants to beat her, or take it to her. But my thing is, you take her out of that league, they need her for a handful of years to get it established at a good level, because it took them decades to get where they're at today. To me, I'd hate to see them take a step back, but she's fundamentally the change agent there when it comes to getting that sport to a whole new level.
Yeah. Question for you.
Okay.
I watched a YouTube video the other day where, this gentleman kind of broke down the four major sports, NBA, MLB, NHL, and NFL. Mm-hmm. And he decided to just try to figure out what is the worst sports team in general, like out of all four leagues. And he broke it down. First, it was like, if you had multiple title wins, you were out. Obviously, you're not going to be considered the worst. Then, to lower it further, he took out anybody who had made it to the Super Bowl, all sorts of stuff, right? And he finally keeps breaking it down. Mariners were on there for a shockingly long time. But it wasn't until he looked at like overall win-loss ratios and stuff that it helped some of those teams. And he finally came down to the final answer, which was the Arizona Cardinals football team as the worst team in all of sports.
I wouldn't have thought that, but I mean,
And the reason that, he put it on there, one was just, number one, how long they've been around. Because that was one of the biggest things that kept Jacksonville Jaguars out, was because obviously they're just newer.
Came in the 90s.
Houston Texans, obviously, most modern resurgence, yes. But prior to this more modern stuff, and then the Deshaun Watson quick little run there with J.J. Watt, they really haven't done much either. But again, they were so new in the league that he didn't feel like it was fair. Because if you were to look at their win-loss ratio, or just the fact that they haven't really made it to a Super Bowl, it's like, well, yeah, but they also haven't been around for 100 years or whatever kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, no, so the Arizona Cardinals is what he came to, and there was a whole lot of, thought that went into it and everything like that. And just the fact that, again, the Cardinals have made it to a Super Bowl, but they absolutely choked. And made it to the Super Bowl with one of the best wide receivers of all time in Larry Fitzgerald, and still choked.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you consider them to be the worst team in all of sports?
I wouldn't have thought that. I mean, but I'm sure this guy's done his research. I would have went. Now, I'll be the first to admit, the one sport that I'm probably least knowledgeable about would be hockey. So
Same.
I don't have a lot.
I don't even know if there was many hockey teams that even made it to his final brackets, just because there's a lot more parity, it seemed like, in the hockey world.
Yeah. It's that's why I'm kind of surprised on the NFL side it was an NFL team, because usually parity comes into play there a little bit. And I think about Arizona. I mean, the years that they had Kurt Warner, they were pretty competitive too. So I don't know. It threw me. But I would say this, when I think of a baseball, I can see why our team would have been there for a while, because the Mariners just had one heck of a dry spell. But I do think there's some teams in the NBA that I think about the Memphis Grizzlies. They've been around a long time. And yes, they made the playoffs and stuff this year, but they've been completely irrelevant for the longest time. And then even, I know this is a team of our siblings or your siblings and my kiddos, but the Sacramento Kings haven't been decent since Weber days, and that would have been 90s. So, I think there's a lot of teams that for the last 20, 25 years, they haven't done anything.
Yeah.
Arizona, I don't know that I would put them in that category of 25 years not being anything, but I'm sure he's done his research. That's a really good question. I mean,
I'll have to send you the link to that video. You can watch it yourself.
Yeah.
I'll post the link in this podcast description as well.
Yeah, I do like that.
Did you have any other hot takes? I've got two more.
Oh, go ahead on yours. Yeah. No, I do not.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on mid-season firings in any sport? But when you fire a coach or a GM or anybody like that mid-season, is that good for the team, bad for the team? What are your thoughts on that?
So I would think this. If your team is underachieving to a big-time level, in other words, if you've got the talent on that team to win and win now, totally for it. I'm totally for it only because, to me, you only get so many chances at this. And with when we're talking money and sports and all that good stuff, they go hand in hand. If you've got the team on the field that should be winning and it's not, I mean, you're losing money, big time money, and potential. So I think depending on that scenario, heck yes. If that team is got potential or it's doing well, or if that poor coach is set up with a team that is not winnable, I say no. I don't think that's fair at all.
Okay, because obviously some more of the recent examples would be, in terms of mid-season firings. Obviously, you've got the Jets letting go of Robert Saleh midway through the season last year,
which I do think was appropriate. He'd been with the team for a number of years, and the team on paper should have been way more competitive than that. So I agree with that one.
And then the Raiders with Josh McDaniel as well.
Totally agree. That dude, he's a terrible head coach. Great coordinator, terrible head coach.
Okay. No, I don't disagree.
I do think there are. I mean, I've seen examples to where I don't think it's I'll tell you one that really surprised me was when Denver fired their coach about 5 weeks before the playoffs started. That went through me. I mean, I don't. I think in terms of that team should have been playing better, sure, but they were going to make the playoffs. Everything was good. I don't understand why you needed to fire him right then and there. So there's a few like that one I definitely didn't think was a good move. I think. Well, it wasn't mid-season, but like I said, I think firing Thibodeau after the season was crazy.
Yes.
But yeah, that wasn't a mid-season move. But I do think in most cases when they do it, I get it. Because the only time, like I said, when it's a team that's underperforming, I don't think that's fair on the coach.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
And then my last one, Joe Burrow. Is he selfish?
I don't think he's selfish because I don't remember what his contract looked like if he did any restructuring. I do know that there's not enough meat on the bone to keep some of these players. I think that's the problem they're having with that defensive guy. I'm drawing a blank on his name, son. Hendrickson, thank you. With him, still holding out for more money, I think the holdout scenario is going to be tough because right now you got so much of your money wrapped up between two wide receivers and your quarterback. Because you got T. Higgins, you got Chase, and you got him. And they take up, I don't know the exact percentage, but it'll be very high because none of those guys took less money. So I think he's selfish in the sense of, I think he needed to do a Tom Brady move and restructure some of it, or even Ohtani. Ohtani did it too with the Dodgers. Structure that and space it out to where you can win now.
I was going to say, I would 100% say he's selfish. The man, so I've got the numbers here, $275 million contract extension with $219 of that guaranteed money and a $40 million signing bonus. Now, obviously a move like that was made in 2023 after they were doing really good, but couldn't win the big game. And you got a gentleman here who wanted the big contract. He wanted the money. And in recent interviews where they talk about Hendrickson and just his contract debates and everything, he just gives the answers of, we started this together. We got to end this together. And all this talk about, as if it's possible, but yet he doesn't talk about restructuring a contract. He doesn't talk about giving up any of the money. He's not chasing the ring. He chased the dollar bill and he got it. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that same sentimentality has, moved on to his wide receivers. And you've got a front office there who clearly do not want to win the big game. They have focused completely on their offense and
one
the
side of the
there.
ball. Mm-hmm.
And time has shown over and over and over again that if you're going to focus on one side of the ball, defense tends to win the big games.
And that's what happened to them last year, man. They put up points and they kept losing. I mean, it was so frustrating because that team would put up points and they can score with the best of them, but they give up way too much. And that's why, I wouldn't put them over Baltimore. I wouldn't put them over Buffalo. I wouldn't put them over Kansas City. I mean, I think those three teams right there are better than those guys, and they'll score on Cincinnati left and right. All those teams will.
And as much as they annoy me because they're good, Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes did not do deals like this simply because the team was more important to them.
Mahomes, I think, is towards the bottom of the top 10 in terms of salaries, and I believe because I think he's making 50, but nowadays that's not enough, and they signed him to a long one. But I agree wholeheartedly. That's why Brady was able to restructure his contracts and. You saw it. I mean, the guy got 7 rings. So, and I don't think money will be a problem for him. He makes way more in endorsements, I'm sure, than he does any type of salaries he's ever made.
Well, and that's the thing too. It's not like Joe Burrow doesn't have the ability to sell himself to any sort of endorsement contract. I mean, he's Joe Cool. There's all these things about the guy, but he chased the dollar bill, and I think the Bengals are going to have a hard time being relevant. I think their Super Bowl window, especially now, has passed. I think, last year might have been their opportunity just because they did have a little bit. They had some defensive players, but not enough. But now more so than ever, I don't think they have a Super Bowl window anymore.
They're going to have a hard time to compete. Even in their own division, they're going to have again, Pittsburgh's going to be a challenge, I think, for them. Not the Pittsburgh's going to run with it, and Baltimore. You got two teams in that division that are better than you, I think.
100%. And Baltimore's making the right moves where Cincinnati is not making any moves. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're a notoriously stingy organization, and it shows here that they're willing to put the money on, the players who, I guess, are the most recognizable, but they're not the ones who are going to be able to win you.
Yeah, they'll sell tickets and jerseys, but they're going to win you 9 games.
Yeah, they're going to be flashy with the numbers and the passes and all that, but at the end of the day, when you end up with an 8-win season, what was the fun in that?
And in the NFL, you got to win to compete. You got to win 11, 12 games every year to compete.
Yeah. That was it for my hot takes there.
Those are good.
Before we jump into the betting, now I've got an all-time debate for you, and this is one obviously anybody who's a fan of sports has heard this before. Players receiving more credit than coaches. So an example of this would be, and for the longest time, prior to him going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tom Brady, right? Was it Bill Belichick that was the reason for all the rings, or was it Tom Brady? And at what point does the player get the credit before the coach? Because then obviously that argument tended to be difficult when all of a sudden Tom Brady wins a ring with Tampa Bay and Bill can't get anything going.
Yeah, so I would say in the case of Tom Brady, it was Tom Brady winning those rings. I think, and not only that, I think Belichick was in the league before and didn't win one, before Brady came along too. So because he was with the was it the Browns, and he was a defensive coordinator for the Ravens and I believe New York Giants back in the day. But here's the thing, either way, Brady wins them. He wins them when he leaves, and you don't win them when he did leave. So that team was also not that good either. But
now the argument could be made, though, that obviously Bill Belichick helped instill all of those, mentalities and the playability into Tom Brady through coaching.
I think they were a great pairing for sure. And don't get me wrong, it's not like Brady walked into some crappy team in Tampa Bay. That team had weapons already,
and he was able to bring his guys with him too, in terms of Gronk and for some reason Antonio Brown.
Yeah. Oh, Antonio Brown, if he's not in jail for murder now, it looks like. But I think. I think in that case, I do think, the argument can be made with others. I'll give you an example. I think one where a coach brings out the best and makes players better, and I don't think they would have won it without him. Would have been Popovich.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, with San Antonio. I think, not that Tim Duncan was a stud, but Tim Duncan in the NBA today is not going to win a ring in and by himself. No way. And I think even winning with the Admiral like they did too, the consistency that team brought with real high, like BN players, low A's, was phenomenal. They won and they won and they won, and they were in, I don't know how many postseasons in a row. I do think a coach like him gets the best out of his players. Yeah.
So then what about a situation of Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan?
I think they were a great pairing to win the championships at the level that they did. I think they're perfect for each other because I do think that, Phil Jackson was kind of a kumbaya kind of yoga type, Buddhist type of guy, chill kind of guy, and Jordan was all the flash and flav. I think they were a great pairing. Do I think Jordan would have won without him? Probably. I think I don't know to the level that he did. I think Phil Jackson got the most out of him. Sure.
Okay. Is there any situation for sure where you don't think aside from Popovich really, where you don't think a team wins without that coach?
That has won it, like has won a champ. Oh boy, that's a good one. That is a good. Oh, well, I'll give you an example. I know Nick might disagree, but I do think the Yankees, when they were under Joe Torre. I think Joe Torre was the glue there. I think there were a lot of good players. He had a lot of talent, don't get me wrong. But I think when they had some of their runs there, for sure, Jeter was great. Jeter was definitely the captain, and Jeter to me was just a class act all the way. But I think, the glue that kept that team just moving forward is Joe Torre managed those I wouldn't even say egos. They weren't massive egos, but he managed that. Yeah, he really did. And he got the best out of Mariano Rivera and Bernie Williams and Jeter and these guys. And to have Clemens on there, and Clemens is a basket case at times, but you had Andy Pettitte balancing it out. So I look at some of those Yankees teams with Torre. I don't know that they would have won though, because coaching egos, That's the problem. You got to be able to, I mean, you got a lot of guys, and they're all making more money than them. If you think about it, how many people in life, when you're managing things, are they all making more money than you are?
Yeah.
And you're the boss.
One of the biggest examples I would say of a situation in which a coach probably played the key role in getting the championship more so than the quarterback would be our friend Matthew Stafford. Because you look at Matthew Stafford as a gentleman on the Detroit Lions, which, again, a lot of years Detroit Lions were garbage, but you did have years with Calvin Johnson.
Yep.
And if you can't, with Megatron and Stafford, be able to make it all the way, the question becomes, at what point was it on the quarterback or was it a coach who cost him the victory?
You're talking about Sean McVay. And here's the thing with McVay, Mom calls him McSexy. Mom loves that dude. She thinks
the dude's a winner.
Dude.
I mean, he's a great coach.
He's a winner, yeah. And he gets a lot out of the talent, and I would agree. I think he drafted beautifully. I mean, you look at some of these guys that he got, Cooper Kupp and then Nakua. I mean, he drafts talent. He finds these little gems. And, of course, it helps having, Aaron Donald on the team there, and he's a beast in the middle. But yeah, I mean, he wins with that talent. He gets a lot out of those guys for what they've got on the field. Yeah. I give him that.
No, it's definitely just one of those situations where it's like just a change in scheme and a change in scenery definitely it seemed like the deal breaker to get him to the victory that Matthew Stafford was capable of, I think, for all those years, but couldn't quite do it himself.
Another one I think that is great. Now, don't get me wrong. We talked about it before, and not to talk about certain people, but Mahomes. I look at Andy Reid. I mean, Mahomes is a stud, right? But I mean, they trade Tyreek Hill early on. I mean, they win a ring or two, and then boom, he's gone. Yeah. Because he was in attitude and chemistry, and people were like, oh no, oh no, oh no, and they win again. I think about last year. Last year was to me a masterful job of coaching because your team wasn't the greatest team in the NFL by far. Buffalo was better on paper. The Ravens were better on paper.
So many teams were better on paper.
And yet he took them right back. They got smoked, but he took them back there with a lineup that was, Kelsey has the worst year that he had. You have your number one receivers were who? I mean, and yet you still won. You kept winning. Yeah. So I do think Andy Reid is just a stud coach. I think he gets a lot out of the talent on the field. And yes, it helps having Mahomes. I mean, he is the difference maker, but you still got to win. You still got to win both sides of the ball, and their defense was pretty good last year.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, well, with that, you said you had something, though.
I do have something for you. This is just a little fun. I think we have some time for this.
Yeah, we do.
You're going to like this. I just want to see a little game here for you and see how well you do. I did this one. Boy. I did this one all on my own. I'm going to tell you an athlete, and you tell me if he's still alive.
Oh, okay.
Or if he's dead. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
You ready for this? Okay, the first one I'm going to do is Carl Yastrzemski, Boston Red Sox ball player.
I'm going to say dead.
He is still with us. He's 85 years old. 85 years old. How about Whitey Ford?
Dead.
Whitey Ford is dead, although he did make it to 91 years of age. He died in 2020. How about Sandy Koufax?
Oh.
Pitcher for the Dodgers back in the day.
Gosh, I feel like he died recently. Oh, I'm off, aren't I?
He's
alive.
85 years old. He's still with us. He is 85 years old. Heck of a ball player. Big time Dodger fans, of course, love him. How about, here we go, different sport. Ready?
Yeah.
Richard Petty. NASCAR racer.
Alive.
He is alive, although he looks dead. He's a rough one, but 87 years old today. Okay. No, not today, but as we're talking today. How about Mean Joe Green?
Oh, he's alive.
He is alive. Yeah. Yes, he is. 78 years old, still with us. How about Willie Mays?
Oh, unfortunately passed away.
Oh, good job. Yeah. You nailed that one. Yes, he passed away in 2021. He was 93.
Basket catch.
Yeah, 93. How about Tommy Lasorda, the Dodger coach, the past Hall of Fame Dodger coach?
I'm going to say passed away because you almost just said passed away.
Almost said, yes, 93. You're right, 93. He and Willie Mays passed away in the same year, both at 93 years of age. What do I got? I think I have my last one for you. Ready? Reggie Jackson.
Oh, I'm going to say he's alive.
Jackson. He is alive. Yeah. Yep, he is. Reggie Jackson is 79 years of age. You did actually really good with that one. Very nice. Not bad at all.
What can you do? Huh? You know what? I'm going to throw something out here. Okay, so I don't know if you've seen this. Henry Ruggs III, I believe, is
for the Raiders.
Unfortunately, killed a woman in a car crash.
More than a woman and her dog. And her dog, yeah.
Which, interestingly enough, did you know that Henry Ruggs lost his best friend in a car accident?
No, I did not.
When they played in either high school or college, and which is why for a lot of his college career, every time he scored a touchdown, he would put up the number 3, which is his friend's number. So unfortunate that he went and did that to somebody else. Now, you hear about his teammates talk about him, Josh Jacobs
he did
especially.
That his rookie year too, by the way.
Yeah. And Josh Jacobs, nothing but good things to say about it. A lot of people have the general consensus that very out of character for this kid to do what he did. Well, he's going to be released soon, and there is talks that he could be picked up by potentially the Raiders again or other teams.
I don't think you should touch him as a Raider because, that incident, that trauma happened in Vegas. So I think you'd have a mixed review there because you're going to have some folks that thought that's way soon for something that he did, taking a life. And
Do
I
you
think
he should get back into the NFL in general? I mean, you took somebody's life in a DUI accident.
He did, but I would also say, whether the sentence was light or not, I mean, he served his time, he did his piece. I kind of look at it like Michael Vick, right? Michael Vick, I mean, a lot of people were ticked off and pissed off that he came back to the league, after what he did with the animal cruelty and betting. I mean, went on to, from what I understand, like champion animals and
he's a huge proponent in that world now.
Yep, and I think he did make right, and he did serve his time, and he actually had some good years when he came back. I would say this, I would think a team probably could. I don't think it should be the Raiders. I just think be ready because you're but I would. Yeah, right. I mean, but you see teams do this stuff.
And he was a top pick for a wide receiver.
Yep.
Now, also want to throw this out there.
What kind of game shape did he stay in would be one question.
Well, and apparently he's been working out and doing a whole bunch in prison just because he wants to.
What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So interestingly enough, in that same draft class that Henry Ruggs got picked up in 2020, the Raiders also picked up another gentleman, a gentleman by the name of Damon Arnett. Now, if you don't know who so he was an Ohio State Buckeyes player. And he was a cornerback, right? So I think he was also first round too, if I'm remembering.
I don't
correctly.
think he's on the team anymore. I would imagine.
No, maybe. So both players, he was first round. So here's an interesting thing, right? Okay. Raiders 2 picks in the first round. Okay, Henry Ruggs, Damon Arnett, both of which out of the league pretty quickly. Obviously, Henry Ruggs for the DUI incident, Damon Arnett because he decided to be about one of the most controversial figures, and he wasn't even that good to be honest with you, but. Very controversial figure. Posts videos of himself on Instagram waving some guns around, making threats, all sorts of stuff there.
That's the stuff that the Memphis Grizzlies kid, too. Morant, did the same thing.
Yes, and ends up getting kicked out of the NFL. I think he might have played for another league or something like that. I think he might have done like USFL, something stupid. Okay. Last time anybody had seen him up until very recently was getting busted on some meth charges, I think somewhere in Florida. Well, recently just got signed with the Houston Texans. And so, again, a lot of people are saying, number one, how do the Raiders draft so poorly? But number two, if you're willing to give another shot on this guy, I'm reading the arrest records right here. So 2024, January 6th, 2024. So not like it was a long time ago. Arrested with possession of meth and a firearm. And again,
and this is the guy that just signed with Houston?
Yes. The Texans are going to go ahead and take a chance on him on June 20th, 2025. They signed a 1-year deal with him as cornerback because they figured they have nothing else to lose. And yes, he did. He played with the Houston Roughnecks in the UFL in 2024. And again, he was a reserve for the Chiefs in 2022, but was released 9 days later. 9 days later after the whole deadly weapons.
Here's what I would say. I mean, you make a mistake, you learn from it, you move on. He sounds like one who's going to make a lot of mistakes. So I wouldn't have touched him. I think it's a bad move by Houston. There are other guys out there that you don't have that kind of. I mean, we just signed Shaquille Griffin for crying out loud, and corner, same position, and I don't think you're going to get that kind of baggage with him as a first year player. So I think. Way more downside than upside, in my opinion. Speaking of former Raiders, though, that bad choices, I got one for you. This just happened, too. Former Oakland Raider quarterback, now the Las Vegas Raiders, of course. Number 1 overall pick in 2007. Of course, we're all talking about Jamarcus Russell. And
one of the biggest draft busts of all time.
Not that we're bagging on the Raiders, because that is our state team. But in the same token, you're right. When it comes to draft, man, they bomb and they pick some bad players. But get what this guy did. According to WKRG, Russell accepted a $74,000 check from Chris Knowles, a local business owner, as a donation to the football program. Because I think he is helping. He's like a coach of a high school team or something. But check this out. The money was meant to purchase weight room equipment. Instead, Russell reportedly deposited the check into a credit union and withdrew $55K. Noel, a lifelong LSU fan, says Russell approached him in the summer of 2022 about making a donation to help Williamson football purchased weight room equipment after writing the $74,000 check out to Russell. Knowles said he later stopped the payment on the check when Russell wouldn't provide a receipt of the donation and quit returning his phone calls. My thing is, what did he think he was going to get away with? It's like, you think you would have not got caught? I mean, so I wonder what kind of legal a lawsuit was filed in March stating that the money was lent to Russell by the credit union upon the request. He's in trouble. And then, now he's 38 years old. And this was a guy who had, he had made big time money. This is before rookie salary caps and stuff. I don't know I don't remember the exact amount. I'll get back to it.
Touting him as generational talent, and the man just could not deliver on any front.
No, never even came close. I wonder how much he made though. Yeah, I was curious. He made a lot though. So we can come back from the break. I'll tell you. But we're talking. He got buku bucks, and now he's stealing from donors.
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
All right. With that, we're gonna come back to you guys with some of our favorite bets. Talk to you in a second. All right, we're back with the third segment of Generational Talent, but Dad, you wanted to fill us in on something.
Well, we talked a little bit about Jamarcus Russell, just to give you an idea. This is a guy that just got busted for stealing $55,000 of a donation that was made to the LSU program in his name and his request. And, of course, they caught him, so he's going to be in trouble. But give you an idea, here's what he signed. Now, mind you, this is before the rookie contracts. This was one of the NFL's biggest busts. This is a guy who on his last year of a 3-year before they cut him loose, threw 3 touchdowns, 11 picks, and completed less than half his passes. That guy signed, when he got drafted, 6 years, $61 million. Now, mind you, this was, we're talking 15 years ago. Or longer, actually. It might have even been longer. So, we're talking huge money. This is one of the reasons that the rookies, quarterback wise, they have what do you call it? What am I looking for? Like limits, the contracts. In terms of oh my gosh, I'm not rookies. The deals they can sign nowadays, they can't even. They can't even make
capped.
Yeah. They're capped. Yeah, they are capped big time. So now 6 years, $61 million. Do you know how much he made for a guy that played 3 years in the NFL and disappeared?
How much?
He collected $39.37 million during his career, averaging basically for the 3 years, he averaged $13 million a year. His initial contract, 32 of it was guaranteed. That's why he got it. 32 of it. So he made almost $40 million in his short 3 garbage years, and he's stealing now.
The man fleeced us all.
Yeah, and what did he do with $40 million?
Probably nothing good.
Yeah, to the point where now you're stealing from you. And the very alma mater that he played with, by the way, he played with LSU, and so
he's just a piece of garbage.
You dope this guy into making a donation on behalf of your name, and then you stole from it, and then trying to dodge him like you're not going to be found.
Yeah.
So Jamarcus Russell, bad guy. All right, so we got some bets. What do we got going on, stud?
All right, so my first one. So this is fun. I'm going to give you 2 bets under the same event here.
Okay.
So if you didn't know already, we have an upcoming event. I'm trying to find the exact day that it's happening. Give it away.
Well,
but it is the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest.
Oh, yeah, you can bet on that. That's on 4th of July.
Okay, yeah. Why am I stupid? Of course it's on 4th
of July. Yeah, they kind of do it every year out there at Coney Island.
So if you don't know already, my preferred betting app is Kalshi. That's Kalshi. It's a percentage-based stock trading kind of thing, but it is just regular betting. It's very easy to understand. Well, right now, obviously, Joey Chestnut is the guarantee pick. He's got a 92% chance to win, so you're not going to turn much money betting for him. But betting against him, $100 turns into $1,000. So again,
he's in it?
Yes, Joey Chestnut is in it. He's got an 8% chance to lose. But the fun bet with that one is you can guess what the amount of hot dogs eaten by the winner is going to be. Right now, the forecast is that, again, Joey Chestnut will win, and he will eat 73.6 I was
going to say, it's in
dogs.
the 70s. I know that.
So just to throw it out there, if you want on Kalshi to bet, right now at least, 75 or more hot dogs is a 42% chance, so $100 gets doubled to $218 if you think that 75 or more hot dogs will be eaten. Of course, 70 or more is the starting bet there with a 71% chance of that being the case.
Of being 70 or more?
Yeah.
So I'm going under.
Okay, well, the under for 70 or more turns $100 into $317.
Yep, so under 70. I'm going to write this down just so I have this because that's where I'm going on record. Under 70, if I laid $100, I'd win how much?
If you put $100, you win $317.
So I'd win.
Triple your money.
Triple my money. Okay. All right. I like under 70 for hot dog eating. We'll see how we do when we come back next time.
All right.
Well, so I got a couple of things. First one I'm going to say is tomorrow. Well, This is airing tonight or tomorrow?
Tonight.
So, okay, so tomorrow then, everybody. I like this. This would be what? July 1st.
Okay.
July 1st. We talked about her a little bit earlier today, Caitlin Clark. She's kind of been banged up a little bit. She will be returning, and she'll be playing against the Minnesota Lynx. And they're the underdog. But I feel like here's what's going to happen, right? On the road, she's had a little bit of a break. She's rested her body a little bit, and she's fired up, and they're in that spot of needing to win to keep in with the playoff pace. They get plus 5.5 on the spread. That is the spread that's involved in the game. And I personally think they're going to it's going to be right down to the wire. So I'm taking my money's on Indiana in the WNBA for a bet.
Okay. All right, I got a basketball one for you here on Kalshi. So, LeBron James to announce his retirement before the 2026-2027 season. Right now, they've got that marked up at a 58% chance that he will announce the retirement. So sitting here, if you were to bet yes, that he will announce the retirement before the start of the 2026 season, you would turn $100 into 174. If you don't think he will, $100 can still turn into 137.
137, and that's before the season starts.
Yes, so just to get the exact rules, he has to announce the retirement before the date of the first regular season game.
I think he will, and here's why I think he will. And this is, again, I'm not saying he's not a good player, but I think he's going to want all the fanfare and all the craziness that comes with every stop he's going to be going to on his tour, to wrap up his last year. I think a guy like him is going to want all the attention and eyes on him. So I say he will announce before that season.
Okay. You would turn $100 into 174.
Okay, right. And I do think that probably is a good likelihood that it's going to happen. Okay, you know me, I love betting on my golf here and there. I just think it's fun because you get to pick a player, and if a guy does well, you get to watch 4 days of your bet play out. And that being said, you got the John Deere Classic, which is one of the bigger ones. It's not one of the 4 majors, but that is a bigger one. Although I don't see the players on this one aren't, some of the best ones out there, but I do think there's some good ones in here. Here's my thing. The Ben Griffin is the one that's favored to win at 12-1 odds on that one. I would think putting some money on him would be safe because it does take a pretty good jump. The next guy that I like, this is the one I'm going to put my money on, is Jason Day at 20-1 odds. But those are usually in golf. There's everybody's, there's a 6-1, a 7-1. And so I know what's happening here. You've got a tournament that's going to be happening. Might even be, it's not going to be the Open. That already happened. It's not going to be Masters. That already happened. It could be, I'm thinking the British Open must be coming on. I'm going to take a look while you're doing your next bet. But those are the two I like, Jason Day and Ben Griffin for this week's John Deere Classic.
All right, so I've got another fun one for you. So much like last episode, I gave you guys the Rotten Tomatoes odds for F1, the Formula One racing movie. Well, today, Happy Gilmore 2 is what I'm going to be talking about betting on. That is, in fact, a golf movie, so it fits the theme.
Yeah.
So the Rotten Tomatoes score right now, according to Kalshi, it is forecasted, and this is critic score, not audience, it is forecasted to have a 53.9 overall score by July 28th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So right now, betting odds-wise, if you think that movie's going to be garbage, which I definitely think it will be, the above 45 odds are 66% in favor. So in other words, if I think that movie is going to be less than a 45% from critics on Rotten Tomatoes, I would put no, and I would turn $100 into 241. Now, to give you an idea, that nobody has faith in this movie being very good because the above 90 odds are 1%. So if somehow, in any way, shape, or form, Happy Gilmore 2 is above a 90% and you believe it, you can turn $100 into 1,282.
And there's no way that's going to happen. I got a feeling that particular movie was simply a money grab.
Oh, it's 100%. It's Adam Sandler was wanting to buy another golden toilet in his house. That's all this was. Yep. And so he went and got it. Again, kudos to Adam Sandler. That man has fleeced Netflix for money. I'm not a huge Adam Sandler fan. I think he's fine. I think a lot of his comedy is annoying, and it's just not for me. But again, I will give that dude all the credit in the world. He absolutely is just making money upon money upon money for doing garbage.
You sent me a quiz or a pop quiz type of deal regarding our yes. And I feel that way this time. And I think I spelled his last name right in my response, but kind of like Adam Sandler, I think would be right near the top of your list. I didn't see who you put in there. I couldn't tell.
My lists will be released on the show.
So. On the show we're doing. Okay. You're talking about the morning show.
No, not the morning show. So that's for
your Nick
mic'd up and mildly qualified. Okay. Yeah.
So, but I would say this for me, De Niro's in that category. Back in the day, definitely good, solid actor. everything he pulls out is just a rag, garbage after garbage after garbage after garbage. Nothing good. I don't think he has done in 20 years.
I don't know. Irishman. People really like The Irishman.
I've never seen it, so that one
It's
might.
a 4-hour-long movie. So
Okay, that would be why I haven't seen it. Yeah.
No. So real quick, just to clarify, what Trav's talking about so you guys are listening to Generational Talent on the Desert Highway Radio, and one of the other shows on Desert Highway Radio is Mic'd Up and Mildly Qualified. It's a pop culture comedy show. This episode that we're actually going to be recording tomorrow is all about overrated actors that keep getting movie roles, whether or not we can understand why. I submitted a bunch of audience votes all over the internet, got a ton of responses from people. And it's just really, again, those actors that you keep seeing in movies and you're like, these guys suck. Why are they still getting hired? And obviously I think Adam Sandler definitely falls under that category. There was some obviously not super surprising ones. And again, if you like pop culture and you want to hear more about that, then you just got to tune into Mic'd Up and Mildly Qualified. It's just like this show in terms of released bi-weekly on every streaming platform.
So it said earlier when I did that bet, in terms of there's a lot of golfers, almost all the golfers are not in the John Deere, and I'm wondering why. Maybe there's a majors coming up, the last majors of the year, and I was right. It is the British Open, July 13th through the 20th. That is the last of the 4 majors. So I'll definitely have some bets on, next week for sure, because all the guys, because all the golfers leave the Live Tour too, and the PGA one. To join the PGA one and actually do this major, because the British Open has been around for, 100 and something years. It's crazy. I mean, a long, long, long time.
Those dang Brits.
Yeah.
They've been golfing.
Founded in 1860.
Oh, so just a little bit.
It's 165 years of history. That's got to be one of the longest. That's longer than baseball.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, golf's definitely a sport. I don't watch it. Again, I can watch paint dry anywhere. I don't need to.
I like watching golf, but I know. I think once we get you playing, because I remember I got some clubs. I want to take you out. I got a set of clubs for you.
And I just got you a golf shirt.
You got me a golf shirt, the Jetsons.
Yes.
Yeah. And I just can't wait to get you out there, because I'm not that good, but it is fun. I mean, like I said, picture it. Get a speaker. Yeah, I know. That's what that was my go-to too. So, but I mean, we get a nice chest, get a speaker, play some music, and go have some fun. But it's fun. I completely suck at it, but it's fun.
I won't be much better. I can assure you of that.
Yeah, no, but it is fun. But yeah, no, golf too. It can be a little tricky to watch. They move the British Open around, just like, the only one that actually stays put is the Masters.
Okay.
Yeah, the others, they all move around. So this one is at Royal Portrush Golf Club in County Antrim, North Ireland.
I can already see the bad teeth that are involved with the British people who own that stuff.
The funny thing is, where it's so different when you see any of the British Open type games or golf tournaments, they're never beautifully looking. I mean, there's the ocean near it or water near it, which is great, but there's no trees. And the grass looks all dead and yellow, and all the rough is it looks like fields of wheat in the rough. So when you do lose a ball in there, good luck.
Yeah,
it's not nearly as scenic as the granddaddy of them all, the Masters.
Yeah, that is a beautiful course.
Beautiful.
All right, guys. Well, we want to thank you again for listening to Generational Talent. We release bi-weekly episodes on Mondays, and we'll go ahead and catch you next week and see what the sports world has for us to talk about. Thank you, everyone. Bye.